headline that is making the trend on West African geopolitics right now. And this is about an Islamic Sharia non-interest bank that has just been created in Ghana. And the initiative is supported by Bahrain and Qatar. And one of the head of the banking initiative is President John Dramani Mahama. President John Dramani Mahama pledged during his campaign to introduce an Islamic banking instrument, partly framed around cutting-edge travel costs, to alleviate the traveling cost for the Muslims of Ghana. That was part of the campaign chip of President John Dramani Mahama. Now, this whole development has caused a lot of chaos among religious, affiliates in Ghana. The Christians are vehemently rejecting this move. But you see, when you live in a democratic world, these are the type of things you will have in your country. Politicians are modern day neo-colonialists. Politicians are liars. Politicians are criminals. And politicians, to me, I think they are more or less no better than assassins. Let me explain something to you here. A politician can make a deal with a murderer just to get into the political position he's vying for. That is how dark the mind of a politician is. A politician does not care about the interest of the people. No. You will hear from most political office holders that politics is a game. And truly, politics is a game. President John Dramani Mahama pledged during his campaign to introduce the Islamic banking instrument, partly framed around cutting the travel costs for the Muslim in Ghana when they are about going for their yearly Hajj visitation. Now, the Bank of Ghana published a draft regulatory framework for this non-interest Sharia banking system in Ghana. Now, with comprehensive operational guidelines. Now, the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Johnson Pansin Asiama, inaugurated a 5-member non-interest financial advisory council, NIFAC, in Accra. Now, a lot of people are going against this, right? They said John Dramani Mahama is betraying, the very essence of the unity you have in Ghana, that the political atmosphere is very, very, that is very, very tense right now. And John Dramani Mahama should not be planning to move forward with this action. But ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people know John Dramani Mahama to be the president of Ghana. But one thing that most people don't know about John Dramani Mahama is that John Dramani Mahama grew up in Kwara State, Nigeria. Now, Kwara State, Nigeria used to be secular for quite a period of time and is an highly contested state for different, historical conflicts between the Yoruba people and the Fulani people. Now, when Alimi conquered Kwara from Afonja, he conquered Kwara with one thing as the key word for the conquest: jihad. Even the Yorubas in Kwara, most of them are Islamic fanatics. When the Yoruba people that are smart, when they look at the Yoruba state in Nigeria, if they are smart enough, they shouldn't be counting Kwara as a Yoruba state. Look, there is a saying that the warrior is appreciated when the enemy is at the gate. Do you get what I'm saying? When the enemy is at your gate, you know, the warrior becomes a celebrity. Now, what I would say is this: the Kwara people, because of the current insecurity in the state, I served in the state. So I have a very, very good knowledge about the religious atmosphere in Kwara. It's a little bit extreme. Now, John Dramani Mahama grew up in this environment. And for you to grow up in Kwara State and, you have your foundational developmental psychology formed around this environment, even if you see danger coming through an Islamic policy or whatever reform, you won't see it as a big deal because you have been indoctrinated in a certain way to see certain things as uncompromising. Now, why do I think President John Dramani Mahama is playing a very dirty and terrible game here with so much negligence? Because this is not ignorance. I think he knows, but he chooses to neglect. President John Dramani Mahama made a lot of promises to different communities in Ghana for him to emerge as the president of Ghana. One of these promises was the promise he made to the Fulani community that when he becomes president of Ghana, he made this promise to the Fulanis in Ghana that when he becomes the president of Ghana, the Fulanis will be recognized officially as citizens, bona fide citizens of Ghana. That was why the Fulanis came out at a certain time when they were asking, who is a Ghanaian? And they backed up their question with the premise that President John Dramani Mahama made a promise to the Fulani community during his campaign that the Fulanis will be legitimate Ghanaians and they will not be seen as, visitors that came into Ghana many years ago, or maybe people that are doing cattle herding in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the promises that President John Dramani Mahama made for him to win his presidential term back in office in Ghana. Now, if you make promises, make sure you stand correct on your promises. President John Dramani Mahama did not fulfill that promise. And this is where the antics and the game plan of a politician comes into play. They make dangerous promises sometimes, and they don't stand correct on those promises. These are part of the lies of President John Dramani Mahama. You see, President John Dramani Mahama is, to me, summarily, I call him a criminal because of the way he moves. Now, if somebody hates you, if somebody dislikes you, if somebody says, I am going to do this and there's nothing you are going to do about it, everybody will probably look at the person like, we know you are a criminal, right? But when somebody is snake-like in their patterns, like you support evil, you want to be politically correct. And this thing called political correctness exists most especially in the Anglophone part of Africa. Most of you will see that when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria is being questioned about the insecurity in Nigeria, he does not go directly to the root cause. You will hear him say things like climate change is the root cause of insecurity in Nigeria. Tinubu will lie that it is either farmer crisis. Tinubu will lie that it is not just either farmer crisis and climate change. He will lie again that the problem of insecurity is as a result of the situation in the Sahel. That is called you being politically correct. For you to be politically correct, it means you are aligning yourself with certain narrative, and that narrative is being established, being echoed from the West, most especially the European Union. So when they make these statements, they are trying to form a political alignment with what works when you are under a democratic rule. It is called political correctness. It is not a strategy of addressing a problem the way the problem should be addressed. You want to dance around the problem so that you don't offend these people or you don't offend that people, even if it comes at the expense of the lives of the civilian which you preside over. So this is the situation of the president of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama. He's a snake-like human being. He's an extremely dishonest human being. And don't forget, this was the same president that called on Norway. This was the same president that called on France. This was the same president that called on the US. This was the same president that called on Italy for the security and defense cooperation of Ghana. All right? This man is something else entirely. And now he pledged during his campaign to introduce Islamic banking instruments in Ghana. He made that promise. And now they have put the apparatus in place to make sure that, the promise is in motion. All right. The council is chaired by Professor Bashiru Aliru Umar. Now, there is a reason why I told you I had to explain to you where the developmental psychology of John Dramani Mahama, the president of Ghana, where it was formed. I told you he had his primary education and partly secondary education in Nigeria, Kwara State. There was a reason. Because now people are asking the question, why is it that John Dramani Mahama, why did he choose a Nigerian professor, cum Islamic cleric and scholar? Why would you choose a Nigerian to come and share a Ghanaian banking institution? The name of this man is called Professor Bashiru Umar from Bayero University in Kano State. His credentials are real and they are relevant. This man called Bashiru Aliyu Umar, a professor, is the deputy chairman of the Financial Regulation Advisory Council of Experts, FRACE, at the Central Bank of Nigeria. The president of the Supreme Council of Sharia in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain what Sharia in Nigeria is in 2026. This is a sort of constitutional institution following the Islamic doctrine and policies where people's hands are being chopped off. Like it's for Mungo Park era. Sharia is for, I would say when goats were still living in the forest, when goats were wild animal, when they were not domestic animal. Now I'm not on anybody's side here, but I will tell you categorically, if you experience Sharia, then you will regret your life. In Nigeria, we are now seeing some development right now in Kano State where children are being taken away. I'm talking about girl child. They are being abducted from their parents' house and forcefully sent to Islamic schools. Even if their parents go to the police station, the police will tell them there is nothing they can do about it. In fact, the police will challenge you that why are you sending your child to a church or a Christian environment? You don't want them to accept the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. It's a barbaric environment now. It's a disgusting situation in Nigeria now. Now, President Mahama is entrusting, all right, a very, very sensitive position to the hand of the president of the Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, in Ghana. Let me explain what this means, right? The SCNS, the SCSN, right? What it means is that the framework, the groundwork to have Sharia in Ghana is already in motion. And all of these things just happen in isolation. They systematically build these things over the years. If you look at the Ghanaian, political scene right now, you have certain people in key positions in Ghana that are always there to support this type of, initiatives. Dramani Mahama at this point is becoming weaker and weaker. Possibly he has some things to gain by backing up these policies. Because if you are the president of Ghana and you are the general commander of the armed forces, your authority still supersedes and prevails over every authority. But in West Africa, most especially in the democratic world, now these were the things I was saying about Anglophone Africa yesterday. A situation where if you make certain decision, the president of the Senate House can knock down that decision. The House of Representatives can gang up to remove you from office as the president, except if you want to dissolve the House of Representatives and all of that with a presidential decree, which can only be activated in an emergency situation. If you look at the whole situation that is brewing up right now, there is a force, an alternative, unconstitutional, non-state force growing up in Ghana. And they are gaining so much influence. And that influence is being supported by external influences from Qatar, from UAE, from Bahrain, from Kuwait. And before you know it, the government of Ghana will say certain things. An alternative government will emerge, which is the Sharia government. They call them the Supreme Council for Sharia. You have them in Nigeria. When the president of Nigeria said that they want to go forward to implement state policing in Nigeria, the Senate agreed. The House of Representatives agreed. These people called the Islamic Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, they said no to it. And now, if they say no, what does that mean? It means that bill cannot be passed. Why am I saying this? There are 12 northern states in Nigeria that accepts Sharia. Yes. Yes, they accept Sharia law. They have a constitution. That means anything that takes you to the geolocation of those states in Nigeria. And maybe they say you say somebody just hates you and the person said, oh, you caused the Prophet Muhammad subhanahu wa ta'ala and all of that. You know what happens? They will go to the Quran and they will tell you, either using the Hadith or the Quran, they will say their Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you do certain things, this is how you should be treated. And most of the time in such situation, you will either be beheaded or you will be stoned to death. And whoever gets caught in such situation will die and there is nothing that will happen. Among these 12 states in northern Nigeria, if you harm somebody by omission or commission, all you need to do is to say you did it in the name of Allah. Your punishment will either be reduced or be removed completely. This is how barbaric, this is how nonsensical Nigeria has become in 2026. For you to have Sharia and jihad, you need to ban Sufi Islam. I have colleagues at work that always tell me that if there is Sharia, everything will go fine. Like government cannot steal money. What of Omar al-Bashir in Sudan? He implemented Sharia. He turned Sudan to an Islamic state. The billion-dollar question is, What did he do after implementing all of this? He had the supreme authority to steal from Sudan, and there was nothing anybody could do about it. He had the authority to decide who was a legitimate Sudanese and who was not a legitimate Sudanese. This is how bad the situation is going to get. And over time, the Lebanese, the Arabs, they were coming in to Sudan before the genocide was being orchestrated. And during the active phase of the genocidal atrocities of the RSF and the Sudanese armed forces under Omar al-Bashir, the Arabs were not being touched. It was the ethnic black Sudanese that was being removed from the surface of the Sudanese soil, from their ancestral lands. And the resources was being claimed by the Arabs. This is a sort of ideologic surrender, is political surrender, is surrender of your sovereignty, is a disgust in 2026 to have this type of counterproductive institutions being executed in any state. Because if you look at the speed of implementation of this in Ghana, it's unlike anything I have seen. It's too fast for my own liking. And gradually, they are now bringing, Arabic to the educational institution, to the academic institution in Ghana. They are also bringing Arabic as a language that Ghanaians should learn. They are bringing in financial institution of the Arabs that is being backed by Bahrain and Qatar. What message does that send to you? And you want to bring a cleric. You are not even, to me, I feel like Ghanaians are less barbaric, like northern Nigerians. I feel like Ghanaians are still sensible compared to northern Nigerians. I feel like Ghanaians are reasonable and less radical in comparison to northern Nigerians. You have never in your life experienced the type of barbarism that you will have in northern Nigeria. When you talk about the imperial, the supreme worst type of Islam anybody can practice is in northern Nigeria. If you want to recruit terrorists, you find it in northern Nigeria. The headquarter of narcotic substance consumption in Nigeria right now is in northern Nigeria. If you are a Nigerian and you live in the north, you can stand up and try to debunk all what I'm saying right now. I work in toxicology when I was in UITH, University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, and I know how many patients we get from the north. I mean, people that can no longer, their cognition is completely dead. They are sitting in front of you, they are talking to somebody else. Like you are in an active conversation, they are talking to somebody they are saying that is invincible. That is how bad. Those people are no longer ingesting. It's no longer oral. They are using intravenous in the northern part of Nigeria. And it is in this part of Nigeria where you have Sharia, where you have all this Islamic policy. Now, I am not surprised that the Arab world is bringing all this type of counterproductive institutions to Ghana. And I will explain to you why. And don't expect the West to go against it. Because to destroy a nation, you have to destroy the ideologic belief of that nation. You have to destroy the mind, the spirit that brings that nation together. And the fastest way to destroy a nation ideologically is through Islam. I don't care what you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? The fastest way to destroy a nation to enslave and isolate the people of that nation is to introduce Islam to them. Let me be very, very clear on something. This is a religion where people fundamentally, they give themselves the nomenclature of slaves. These are mad. These are the worst type of confused people you can have anywhere on the planet, the Muslims. And I dare you to debunk that Muslims don't accept themselves as slaves of an Arab man. It is through it is through this useless doctrine that Africans were turned to eunuchs. They were being castrated. Aseptic technique. When they are being castrated, 9 out of 10 castrated male would not make it. So you only have one. Then when they use them over the years, they will sell them. Most of the time, the people they sell them to put them in cages where they throw banana to them. They do it to women, they do it to men. They use the women for amusement. These are the pillars of Islam. You cannot tell. Look, the pillars of Islam is not what is being written in book. A story that was written in blood cannot be written with ink. You cannot tell me a society where you have Islam and you have peace. If you capture a cultist today that have just killed somebody yesterday, go and look at the name. It's a Muslim. I can send you a link on Telegram where you will see the names of most people that have just been killed. Most of them they kill every day. We have more evidence of Islamic killings than Christian killings. I will literally tell you, for a nation to develop, religion has to be completely destroyed. And that is why you have the people that benefit from this ideologic surrender. They are now cursing. I saw Marco Rubio, who is now the current head of the USAID, say that, oh, it is high time the Western democracy rise up against the godless communist regimes that are rising. Because for communism is anti-religious. You cannot say you are a communist and you believe in religion. No. You believe in manufacturing, you believe in development, you believe in hard work, graft, and dedication as a communist. I have not seen a Muslim that love a black person. In Libya, what do they do to black people there? When Nigeria went to play a friendly game in Libya, they locked them up. It took the Nigerian delegation more than 72 hours to release the Nigerian players. A friendly game. This is the same place where they trade people into slavery. Well, this is what President John Dramani Mahama is currently doing. And just 20th of August here, the Bank of Ghana governor, Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama, inaugurated a 5-member of this Islamic Sharia Financial Advisory Council in Accra, Ghana. All right. Now, I think I've told you that it is being spearheaded by a professor from Nigeria. Now, let me tell you where he got his professor degree from. He got his PhD, his doctorate in Islamic jurisprudence from the University of Medina. So that is an extremist. That is a bandit. I believe you all have seen the videos we are seeing from northern Nigeria lately. A senator, a sitting senator in the Nigerian government, in his house, right in his house. Bandits were eating. They were doing voters' card. They were giving them their international passport inside the house of a sitting senator in northern Nigeria. So there was a guy that captured them, he cameraed them, and he released the video online. And because it was a sitting senator, they launched a manhunt for him. He ran to Niger Republic. They sent an assassin to go and assassinate him in Niger. The Nigerian government initially did not know. So the assassin got to Niger and called this guy and said, oh, you made certain claims online, you released a certain video. We are working for so organization. We want to protect you because we feel like you are working on a very dangerous territory now. We need you to provide us more evidence. We need you to present yourself. They were sent. Once he presents himself to the so-called journalists, they were going to abduct him, take him back to northern Nigeria and execute him summarily. And the case was going to die. These are the so-called Islamic states in Nigeria, right? So, you know, being a bandit and somebody that has the experience on their modes of operation, he did not show up. They found a way. The Nigerian authorities arrested him. So after serious investigation, according to the information, some Nigerian generals even got involved because he could speak Hausa language, and that's the official language of the Nigerians. They discovered that this guy only blew the whistle of a Nigerian, of a dirty, disgusting Nigerian politician who was giving shelter to bandits. They released them. After they released them, another group of terrorists came for him again in Niger. So later on, he left Niger and he ran away to some other West African states. The location is undisclosed. We don't know, for his operational security, which is very, very nice. This is what you will have. Look, listen to me very carefully. The blueprint is already on ground in Ghana. See, at this point, I love the Ghanaian people. I love them so much. Very, very smart set of people, very peaceful people, you know. But what we are saying now is the framework. What I'm saying in Ghana right now is the framework and the recipe for disaster. It's coming. You cannot, it's coming. Shit coming. Like, let me be honest with you. To be politically correct is to try to sugarcoat what you have on ground now. But you know definitely that Andre is not somebody that cares about the order. I don't care about order. I jump the gun. I don't care about, okay, I want to sound politically correct so that certain people will not feel offended. To hell with who wants to feel offended. There is an ideologic surrender in motion, something that is going to completely destroy the state. Ideologically, it will first of all destroy the cohesion between the people, because certain people will start rising and they will be labeling themselves as Muslims. No, they won't be Ghanaians. They will be Muslims. Do you hear me? You won't be Ghanaians. You will be Muslims first. And when you are a Muslim, an extremist will get into your midst and you will not be able to identify that, okay, this person, his preachings, his teachings are not right. They are not edifying. This person is a threat to the national security and the peace of the society, and we need to eradicate this idiot. They won't be able to do that. No, it's a Muslim brother. It's our fellow Muslim brother. And before you know it, bandits will get into your midst. And then ethnic cleansing will start. And in this process, they will start telling you and reinforcing the idea that they are is Muslim, it's a Muslim thing. It's a clash between this and this. And don't worry, there are certain people in Ghana that are ready to be the foot soldiers. They are already in Ghana and they are in the neighboring communities that are at the outskirts of the Ghanaian boundaries. And when the time is right, they will check into Ghana. Like, the process is complete. I have studied some of these patterns as a Nigerian for a long time. So when I see the signs, I know them. And don't go and have it in your mind somewhere that because you are a Ghanaian or because you are whatever you think you are, or maybe your government is closer to the West, that these principles will not work. No, we're in the era of terrorism. You can call it Black Winter. We are in the era of terrorism in West Africa. Terrorism, even in Southern Africa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, down south, we are in the era of terrorism. As long as you have any geopolitical resources that can really, really turn you into something relevant in future, we are in the era where terrorism is the bargaining chip. They will throw it at you and they will get the result they want. Because terrorism will create the condition for Western military intervention. That is how it works. So Ghana has gold, and the policies of Ghana recently has not been favorable to the West, most especially after the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board. Look at the currency of the Ghanaians. Look at how improved it has been. The Ghanaian economy has been properly managed. So the people benefiting from Ghana before are no longer benefiting. So what do you think they can do to compromise all that? Is to create the condition for a military intervention where Ghana will have to trade their peace for security. So they will outsource that security to the West, which Dramani Mahama is already doing. Then at the end of the day, they don't need cities. They will need control over your gold. And that is how military intervention is going to be created. For that military intervention to be created, mind you, there is going to be a lot of internally displaced people. A lot of people will have to die. I'm not sugarcoating anything for you, and I'm not negotiating this. This is what we experience in Nigeria. A lot of people will have to go down. You are trying to create, it's like I'm trying to act a movie. Why will I act a movie in such a way that you know, while you are sitting right there, you know that, oh, he's acting a movie? It won't make sense. We have to make it look real so that the civilians can even beg for military intervention. Do you get what I mean? So this is where Ghana is heading right now. And according to the information we have, Qatar and Bahrain, all right, they are the ones sponsoring this Islamic finance information. According to information, the Islamic Finance News has linked Qatar International Islamic Bank and Bahrain Al Salam Bank to the initiative as a potential Gulf support. But I found the verified confirmation on the direct funding of a specific bank, three sponsored by Qatar and Bahrain. Now, let me tell you this. There is nothing reasonable that the Islamic or the Arab society can offer anybody on this planet that we have. If your brain is working, you will know, anybody will know in 2026 that there is nothing an Arab can offer you. When I was in secondary school, representing Greater Tomorrow International College, I've been in so many competitions. I have met Arab students in different debates. And every time I meet Arabs, I'm always happy because I know I'm going to defeat these people. Mathematics competition, whatsoever. We know we are going to destroy these ones that like, they don't have that, they don't have it. They are not like that. That was why when MBS Mohammed bin Salam wanted to offer, you know, some sort of infrastructural development to Burkina Faso, infrastructure, he was trying to donate 200 mosques to Burkina Faso. The only thing they export to people, and in turn they get value, is religion. Because you go to Hajj. Do you go to Hajj for free? Do you go and meet that your whatever you say you want to go and meet in Medina and in Mecca? Do you go there for free? When you get there, do you eat there? So the people serving the food you eat there, is it not some form of economic boost that you have given to that country? So if MBS builds 200 mosques in Burkina Faso, those 200 mosques is not going to be in Ouagadougou, it's going to be scattered around the region. So this is going to proliferate, and they're going to build it to be to the best of standard. So it's going to be very beautiful. And what is the purpose of building a beautiful mosque? Is to capture, aesthetically, is going to capture the younger population. And they are going to go on mass evangelism. And they are going to capture some population. And later on in the future, it might not be immediate. When they start doing well in life, most of them want to visit their religious ancestral home. Foolish people. My ancestors are the closest to my God. Huh? Are you listening to me? My ancestors are the closest to my God. Whatever God you serve is your business. I don't know Jesus before. I don't know Muhammad before. If you call yourself a Rasulullah squad, I don't know you. I don't know where you are from. My ancestors are the closest to my God. If my God don't look like that, if the God that everybody's talking about don't look like my ancestors, then he can step aside. People die every day. Ogogo just died in Nigeria. People were praying. What happened? He died. Nothing happened. The prayer did not yield anything. They called different clerics to come and pray. What happened? Miracle did not happen. It doesn't exist. It's not there. There is no negotiation to foolishness. A foolish person will continue to be foolish. Instead of people to pursue wisdom and pursue knowledge and pursue understanding at the same time. Use your money to get knowledge. They won't do it. They want religion to take over. And that is why Africa is still backward until this day. And look at John Dramani Mahama. He's pushing Ghana towards the brink. And nicely, Ghana is moving towards that point of no return. And when it all marinates, and it's time for everybody to reap the product of this dirty buildup, it's coming. It's coming. Now, the funny thing is, to correct this problem that was created over time, people will have to see the currency of solving this problem is the life of people. You don't see, they don't solve this type of problem with foreign intervention. It will be the lives of some brave Ghanaians. Good men will lose their life to return Ghana to a normal state. Good men will fall. Take it like that. And that good man can be anybody's brother, it can be anybody's father, it can be anybody's uncle, it can be anybody's younger brother. A problem that was created by greedy men. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is 70% of the information I have for you today. Take it without sentiment. Weigh it in the balance. I am warning, if the chief or the chairman of this Islamic organization was taken from Nigeria and is a practicing head of the Supreme Islamic Sharia Council of Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen, you've brought in a terrorist to Ghana. I hope you are hearing me today. I don't know why Ghana's situation bothers me so much. Honestly, I don't know. If you tell me why does Ghana's situation bother me, I don't even know. I don't know. But I care. Do you understand? Because I know this is evil coming. Northern Nigeria is the worst in the world. I am saying this with my full chest. It's the worst on the planet. Why is Mahama not taking somebody from Ghana? Why do you have to come to Nigeria? Kano State, from that matter. that aside, now the good side of the story today. There is a town in Djibo. Let me say a village in Djibo. And Djibo is located in the northern part of Burkina Faso in the Sum province. So there is this Al-Qaeda group, right? Let me let me show you the oh my god, the battery is down. So there is this Al-Qaeda group that attacked that community in Djibo. So I think the community is not far away from the next military outpost in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has a doctrine. I think these guys don't take no prisoner of war. They don't do it. A terrorist cannot be a prisoner of war. They crush them in Burkina Faso. Now, the uniform of the Burkinabe soldier in this particular encounter, they wore their green, there is this green camouflage that Captain Ibrahim Traore used to wear. Burkina Faso they have different type of uniform. There is one that looks like white. There is one that looks like a desert brown color that has this greenish stuff like that. There is this green one, a legitimate khaki. That was the trousers that they were wearing, and they wore their green, their green army vest. So these guys were in the rapid intervention brigade because you can see the skull of an human being with a knife along the teeth like this. So these were the rapid intervention brigade. So where this battle happened in a village, right? But before you get to the main community, there is a plain field. There is a plain field. See, there is a reason for everything. Oh, there is a plain field. I think the perimeter is wider and longer than that of a standard football pitch. So the Burkinabe armed forces, according to information, they parked their vehicle at a very long distance. Now, if they brought in their vehicle, maybe the heavy guns would have given them some tactical advantage. But my thinking is that the Burkinabe armed forces parked their vehicle and they walked into that environment because they wanted that fight. They did not, if your vehicle is coming, the hum of the vehicle will actually alert the terrorists and they probably will run away. So the Burkinabe armed forces parked their vehicle and they started walking to the danger zone on foot. AK-47 light weapon, nothing else, bro. This is the worst type of combat situation anybody can be in. So when they were about to get to the field, now, if you are watching the video from the center, there are 3 points. There was this white Al-Qaeda flag with Islamic writings, right? It's white in color. I think it belongs to the JNIM, but sometimes the EIGS use something similar, but I think it belongs to the JNIM. So they mounted one at the 12 o'clock. There was one that was mounted around 2 o'clock. There was one that was mounted around 3 o'clock. The one on the 3 o'clock is the biggest flag they had there. So when you see those flags, it's a stamp of authority that JNIM was here. And they did not just come here. This land now belongs to the JNIM. What that flag means, that's it. If you saw when the Taliban defeated the Afghanistan armed forces, they were mounting the white Islamic flag to know that Taliban was taking this territory and all of that. So the JNIM attacked that community and they injured multiple civilians. But these people say Allahu Akbar. What does that tell you? These guys are soldiers of fortune. So some of those civilians, I don't know where they were, but Some Burkinabe armed forces, they lied down. When they got to that playing field, they went down and they had to be crawling, moving forward. Then there were these guys. Those ones were the ones that shocked me to my marrow. So the Al Qaeda guys were still around. I think the intervention happened minutes after the invasion by the terrorists. So now, this is the funny thing, right? In a firefight, I expect you to be in your best possible condition. For me, I'm already wearing a bulletproof vest with my breastplates and everything. I don't think I have another energy to carry a civilian. These Burkinabe soldiers, right? The civilians use their hand to, when somebody holds their hand across your neck, and they had to, as if you are backing a baby, right? That was how they crushed on the back of those Burkinabe soldiers. And these soldiers took their AK-47 and they were moving like that. Now, they were not clustered together. The Burkinabe soldiers were scattered across that terrain and they were moving forward. Family. The ground was filled up with JNIM soldiers. Like, this was an active exchange. So me, I was like, is this not senseless that you are carrying a victim behind you, a civilian that has been injured, and you are exchanging? Now, let me explain this thing very well so that you understand. This exchange, now the JNIM, I think their rifle possibly was in full auto. They were firing like anyhow. But I think the Burkinabe armed forces were conserving their bullets. So it was something like semi-auto. So it was like pa, 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 and they were moving. Those guys are something else. Like, situations can be very, very dangerous, and you just want to take cover. You want to stay on the lower ground and maybe cover yourself with an higher ground and stuff like that. These guys were moving forward and they were knocking down, like they knocked shots. JNIM fighters were falling. They were falling. Now, the remaining, so after they caught, because I was looking at the video, I was looking at the field, I was looking at bodies on the ground, right? After clearing that field, if you are a soldier, I know there are some soldiers that watch us on this platform. I really, really respect you. I respect you. I respect your courage. I respect the kind of art you have. Because this thing is not funny. Like, these guys they are not engaging with people that are not firing at them. This is Operation Face Me, I Face You. 72 virgins are spectating. Like, pa, 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 pa. And they are moving. Like, these guys are moving forward, dropping the JNI. Then it got to a point. I saw a Burkinabe soldier on the ground. He was lying lateral. So I was like, oh, well, this is a balanced fight. Maybe the JNI were dropping fighters. But I discovered that those Burkinabe fighters were lying down and they were hitting the JNIM that were on the back foot that were running away. Because at that point, the JNIM fighters were no longer fighting back. They were running. The Burkinabe fighters were shooting at them and they were knocking them down. Like, they literally wiped out JNIM in that community. I sat down with my friend and I was asking my friend, what just happened here? Like, that was the only thing I could ask. Like, these guys backed their civilians. They were on their bulletproof. Some of them did not wear bulletproof. Some of them were just on their green military vests. And they crushed and they were knocking down the JNM and they were moving forward. Like, these guys were not staying. And they took back that territory. While this fight was going on, civilians were inside their house. Doors were locked. People were not it was just the JNIM against the BIR. Ladies and gentlemen, this was unlike anything I have seen. According to information, the Burkinabe armed forces recovered a lot of, religious books. They took the flags that the JNIM has already mounted. They made sure that they carried out, they said they call it ratissage. That is when you have defeated an enemy, you now go house to house to clear up the remnants of the terrorists. After they've done this, ladies and gentlemen, they now administered first aid to the civilians that were injured by these terrorists. Then they put them in. That was when they now drove in their gun trucks, their vehicles, and they now loaded the injured civilians into the APC. According to information, they will be taking them to the nearest mobile clinic for medical intervention. To be honest with you, you see, Burkina Faso is a nation that is working. To be honest, if it's in my country, it is after civilians must have been wiped out. That is when the military will come in. Everybody knows what I am saying. But the most surprising aspect of it is that as a soldier, your heart is different from the heart of a normal man. See, leave Traore in that place. Let him rule Burkina Faso the way he wants to rule Burkina Faso. Hey! let Traore rule Burkina Faso the way he wants to rule Burkina Faso. Because what I saw today, see, as long as a correct military personnel is ruling a nation, you can never have a puppet. You don't understand what I do. As long as a correct military personnel is ruling a country, you cannot have a puppet. A soldier is built different. See, let's be guided. A soldier noticed that terrorists are here and they are in control. And the soldiers got there and carried the civilian on his back. That is extra weight in a very dangerous situation. You just stay. Now me go be your bulletproof. And he was approaching the terrorists. Peh, 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 peh. And like they were dropping like flies. Bro, you did not come. See, there is a difference between you were ambushed as a soldier. Maybe you were ambushed in your barrack and you had to repel the attack. And they called you. Civilians are in distress. You carried your rifle. Morale was 100%. You are not going there to defend your own wife. You are going to sacrifice. You are going there to pay the supreme price. See, the fact that they called you and you picked that call and you decided that let's go there. Your child is not there. Your sister is not there. Your brother is not there. It's your regular country people that most of the time might not even appreciate you. They don't necessarily have to appreciate you. That is human being for you. And you got there. You looked at the ones lying on the ground, bleeding. You lapped them on your back. You carried your rifle. You are carrying the burden of a nation. And you are knocking down bandits and terrorists. And you loaded the civilians. And you drove to the hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, see, anybody that can take shot for you, that can put their life on the line to make sure that you can see the next day. In fact, these are the type of people that should be ruling a nation. Not some criminal sitting somewhere that is waiting for how to feed his own mouth every day. Most civilians cannot die. They cannot die. In fact, I have seen a man who armed robbers came to their house. The wife was the first the armed robbers attacked. The man, when they told the man to go and open the door where the money of the home was being kept, the man locked the door and locked the wife with the armed robbers. The man did not come out. The door was a metallic door. He locked the door. He closed it. The wife should be there with them. That's the life of a civilian. Though you have some left shifts. Not all civilians are coward. but majority are coward. But you will call a military personnel is going down. We know that this is what they trained all their life to do. And they got to this. They got there. And see, to be honest with you, right? These are the people that have enough confidence. They are the only ones that can say they want to. See, I believe they are the only ones that can govern a country right. Yes, anybody that can put your own problem. And this is not ordinary problem. This is not maybe you have money in your bank account and somebody else needed money and you send money to them. No, this is a problem that has to deal with you can lose your own life and you are ready to sacrifice your life for another country person. You are different. Traore has been in these situations many times. He has led several battles. According to information, when Traore was on the front line, his team was never ever defeated. And that man is ruling the country. And one idiot, a congressman from the US, is saying that Burkina Faso should be sanctioned because they have harmed a lot of civilians. Who are they calling civilians? The terrorists. I believe that only military personnel can govern Africa right. You have your own reservation, you have your own argument, but my own argument, on the platform of sacrifice alone, they can actually govern a country well. Because what I saw today, look at what Vladimir Putin said. They asked Vladimir Putin, who is going to be the next president of Russia? Vladimir Putin said, the next president of Russia will be coming from the front line. It will be a Russian soldier that has fought in the special military operation. You don't have anybody in Russia that has a better interest for the Russian people than Vladimir Putin. And he has enough sense to know that the only group of people that can actually hold the future of Russia and be like, no, Russia will not fall, is somebody that has fought in the special military operation. Ladies and gentlemen, soldiers are built different. I thought I was patriotic until I went to the National Youth Service Corps and I saw the way soldiers, when they sing the national anthem, the way some of them behave. I have seen soldiers crying at the sound of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, these people are not built the way ordinary civilians are built. And come to think of it, it is civilians that will say, if you see military regime, it's not a good regime. It's not something you will love to experience. Don't teach us. In fact, I want to experience it. In Gabon, the government of Gabon is the best right now that they can ever have. The government of Gabon. Look at the government of Burkina Faso. Look at the government of Mali. Let me tell you something about Assimi Goita's government. Before Assimi Goita, Mali was a tankasu. Mali was brutally terrible. It was not terrible, it was brutally terrible. It was a dangerous environment where foreign journalists were coming into Mali and they were asking the president, have you negotiated with this terrorist group? Have you dialogued with this terrorist group? Have you signed agreement with this terrorist group? Have you fulfilled your promise to this terrorist group? We're hearing different affiliations there. Different name of different terrorist group. But look at when Assimi Goita came. He reformed the Malian military. Thank you very much. Ati allowed enough. Imagine somebody like that ruling Russia. You think that kind of guy will allow Russia to fall? So, ladies and gentlemen, I won't lie to you. The soldiers are different. And look at the wealth of experience. Look at the wisdom in these people's head. The only thing civilians understand is we need funding. We need backup. Nigeria is an oil-producing state. In Libya, a liter of oil is 47 naira. In Libya, 47 naira. in Libya. In Nigeria, it's over 1,400. And Nigeria is part of the OPEC oil producing states. Why are our refineries not working? It is because of some bunch of civilians that sit down somewhere and they benefit from the resources and the lives of other Nigerians, regardless of how the poor Nigerians live, regardless of how they feed. I got messages this evening of Nigerians that committed suicide out of economic hardship. But you have some people, you call them cabals. These people are ordinary civilians. When General Sani Abacha was in government, they all ran to UK. They ran away. They were in UK. And these are the same people that will come and tell you that a military regime is not good. When the military regime was there, the military regime, they were not unaliving civilians. That's a lie. They were unaliving people that were carrying out coup d'etat. And they were unaliving politicians that were corrupt, people that were stealing public funds. If you go to North Korea now, if Kim Jong-un give you a project to do, and you don't do that project very well, and Kim Jong-un himself will come and check the project, and it will be like, you were paid how much? And what have you done here? If the work you have done does not match the money you were paid, die, brother. Kim Jong-un is going to end the story immediately. So people will come and tell you. See, one thing I know about the West that you cannot convince me about is that the West are enablers of terrorism. They are enablers of stealing. They are enablers of corruption. Look at the situation of Guinea-Bissau. The president of Guinea-Bissau bought a mansion, a 204 bedroom apartment mansion in Paris. The French government, you think they did not know about that mansion? When they were building, when he bought the mansion, you think they were not aware of the proceed? No, they only waited for their economic situation to get very, very bad. And they took the mansion from him. And they claim it was the proceed of the money that was stolen from the financial, coffers of Equatorial Guinea. But who enabled them? How come when you talk about Nigeria and you talk about Abacha loot, I am asking you this very question. How come when they say Abacha loot is not coming from an African bank account? Abacha loot is coming from foreign bank accounts, Switzerland bank accounts, United Kingdom bank accounts, Paris bank accounts. How come this money is not coming from Africa? This money is coming from foreign banks. It means they know something about it that we don't know. And they want to tell you that military government is not good. Why is it that the same people that fund terrorism and fund destabilization in Africa, which are the West, why is it that they don't like military regime? Because they know they cannot be controlled. One of the presidents that I have seen that the Western journalists, they have tried to push the word junta into his mouth is Oli Nguema of Gabon. And he said, don't ever address my colleagues like that again. Ibrahim Traore, Assimi Goïta, and Abdurrahmane Chiani, they are my colleagues. You don't have the right to address them that way. Is that the same way a civilian would have spoken? A civilian would probably even re-echo the word junta. Ladies and gentlemen, these two brand of men, they are caught differently. It is high time people stop lying to themselves. We have to stop lying to ourselves on this very day. You might be living a good life today. You might be enjoying the dividend of corruption and fake political grandstanding today. But we don't know what can happen tomorrow. 1 second, all of that money can disappear. Just a bad medical situation, all of that money will disappear. We have seen cases, but today is not the case where we give historical reference. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for this information. If President John Dramani Mahama or his well-wishers can hear this, they can hear me. If they see this video, they have to yield the warning now that they can still be warned. Because when time times a man can no longer time himself. The man will absolutely have to prepare for that time that he is not prepared for before. So John Dramani Mahama has to be careful, because some of his policies these days, they are beyond suspicious and counterproductive. Thank you, and God bless you.